Securing Guyana's territorial integrity, curbing maritime crimes are priorities for new administration. High morals should be paramount in ranks serving Guyana, President Granger tells 217 U.S. GDF soldiers. Joseph Harmon sworn in as Defense Board Secretary, and Deputy Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Ambassador Albert Ramdin, says he is looking forward to President Granger's leadership in the Caribbean. I'm your host, Janelle Carter, with this week's edition of the President's Diary for the period May 29th to June 5th, 2015. Acknowledging that there are some challenges in the daily operations of the Guyana Defense Force Coast Guard, Head of State David Granger has given his administration's commitment towards institutional strengthening of that unit.
Presidential salute! Present!
During a tour of the Ramveld Coast Guard headquarters, the President congratulated the ranks for their professionalism and reiterated the call for every effort to be directed towards the suppression of criminality and to ensure that piracy and smuggling are brought to an end. Speaking to the importance of the Coast Guard, the President said when it was established 25 years ago, maritime threats existed, and these still exist today.
As they say, eternal vigilance is the price you have to pay for freedom. And one of the most vulnerable frontiers of Guyana is this fourth frontier, this coastline. And we can only depend on you to protect this entire frontier. That's why I'm here, because you're important to the country, you're important to Guyana.
The head of state also underscored the importance for capacity building, as he noted that in the near future, discussions would begin to facilitate training of ranks both locally and overseas. In the interim, the ranks were urged to make the best of the resources that are currently available, and most importantly, to take care of them in the best interests of the unit and the country. Further, the new administration will be working on bringing the Coast Guard up to strength in terms of manpower and meeting their needs. The head of state also paid a visit to Base Camp Guyana, where he met with the top brass of the Guyana Defense Force. The Guyana Defense Force welcomed a new batch of 270 soldiers as the newest recruits have successfully completed the Basic Recruit 2015 number 1 course. At their passing out parade, the privates were told that high morals should be paramount as they serve Guyana. The passing out parade was held at the Colonel John Clark Military School, Takama, and the privates were addressed by Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President David Granger. While lauding the ranks for choosing to be a part of such a noble profession, President Granger urged the ranks to serve with dignity as they uphold the 5 core values of soldiering.
You must ask yourselves today, if you didn't in April, why did you decide to join the Guyana Defense Force? You've joined the GDF to serve Guyana, not to serve yourself, not to serve your village or your community or your town, not to serve your family or your religion or your race, but to serve the entire country. But in serving Guyana, you cannot do so on your own. You have to do so as part of a group.
More importantly, the ranks were reminded that in taking their oath to serve, they were doing so for service to their country and not to self, their community or family. Intelligence, the head of state said, must be a watchword for every soldier, as each rank should at all times seek to acquire knowledge, skills, and to strengthen their capacity to learn and reason. Going forward, the Commander-in-Chief told the soldiers that it is his hope that they will elevate themselves education-wise, as his administration is working towards making the state an educated one. Many will remember the late Anglican Bishop of Guyana, Reverend Colonel Moss, but for the Guyanese head of state, the bishop will be remembered as a man of dedication and determination.
A breath of fresh air in the Diocese of Guyana. He was a Caribbean man who adopted Guyana readily and easily. He faced the challenges of this large diocese with determination and dedication. He has departed far too soon. Far too soon. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Those were the solemn words of the head of state after being among the first to sign the Book of Condolence, which was opened at Austin House, Kingston, Georgetown, once home to the late Anglican Bishop of Guyana, Reverend Moss. The late Reverend Moss, who is a native of the Bahamas, died after suffering a relapse. He had been the Bishop of Guyana since December 2009. He was born on December 31st, 1959, and educated at Carrington College in Barbados and Natosha House, Wisconsin. Moss was ordained a deacon on January 5th, 1983, and a priest on January 5th, 1984 by Bishop Michael Hartley Eldon, 11th Bishop of Nassau, and the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos Islands. Minister of State Joseph Harmon has been sworn in as Secretary to the Defense Board. The board, a statutory body, includes the President, Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force, Commissioner of Police, Minister of Public Security, and a few other members. Upon the swearing-in of Mr. Harmon, the head of state, David Granger, said there are still challenges facing Guyana's defense, all of which his administration will seek to address forthwith. In addition, Minister of Legal Affairs and Attorney General Basil Williams was sworn in on Monday as chairperson of the Advisory Council on the Prerogative of Mercy. The council is a constitutional body enacted through Article 189 of the Guyana Constitution.
We expect that the Defense Board will be making decisions in order to safeguard our maritime security. In second instance, I have decided that at least once a year at the time of independence, if not more frequently, we should review the number of cases of persons who have been sentenced or given custodial sentences for non-violent offenses, and particularly women and young persons. I really feel that separating a woman from her children for a minor offense is not in the culture of APNU plus AFC, and we should try as far as possible to keep families together. We also feel that young people had better spend their time in school rather than in jail.
The head of state said, in his opinion, young women should not be separated from their children for minor offenses, as he strongly believes that their time would be better spent in a learning institution rather than in a jail. He added that for youth with misdemeanors, discretion can be applied and those culpable could be returned into the school system. The president is firm in his belief that unless young offenders are violent or dangerous, they should be rehabilitated and be contributing members of society. As part of observances of Guyana's 1490 independence anniversary celebration, President Granger pardoned 60 nonviolent young offenders. As part of his farewell visit to countries, Deputy Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Ambassador Albert Ramdin, paid a courtesy call on President David Granger as he offered his congratulatory message, stating he was looking forward to the head of state's leadership in the Caribbean. Among some of the engagements the president had during this week were meetings with European Union Ambassador Robert Kopecki, Canadian High Commissioner to Guyana Dr. Nicole Giles, and India's Vice Minister and Special Secretary to the Americas, Sri Swaminathan. Ambassador Kopecki congratulated President Granger on his election and noted that 2015 marks 40 years of excellent relations and partnership between Guyana and the European Union. Issues which were discussed include development cooperation, climate change, security and the sugar industry, and regional integration.
It's always a privilege to meet with President Granger as well as with Foreign Minister Granger. We spoke about natural resources development and governance issues associated with that. And we also spoke a little bit about the planned legislative agenda for the government and what will be taking place when Parliament resumes.
More importantly, Dr. Giles indicated that the streaming project, which is funded by Canada and will cater for live streaming of the National Assembly being broadcast in real time via the internet, will begin officially next week. Meanwhile, India's Vice Minister, following his meeting, said he is looking forward to working closely with the new administration in fostering greater bilateral arrangements.
With Guyana, our cooperation is very long-standing, it's historical. In fact, India was the first among the first countries to establish diplomatic relations with Guyana. That was in 1965. So our relationship has been strong, continuous since that point of time, and it will continue to increase, continue to strengthen.
Over the next few months, the members of the Private Sector Commission will be working assiduously to organize a national economic forum, having been mandated to do so by President David Granger. According to Chairman of the Private Sector Commission, Ramesh Prasad, the meeting went well, as the Commission and its members were able to voice some of their concerns and challenges. Prasad said the Commission is looking forward to working with the new administration with the hope of having some of their issues resolved. The PSC chairman added that with the mandate given to the Commission by the President, the body will now be able to craft an economic plan and strategy on the way forward. He explained that the forum would be an inclusionary one with multiple stakeholders. As part of signaling his commitment to working with some of Guyana's international partners, the head of state again continued his meetings with key stakeholders who play a role in Guyana's development. Ambassador Ramdin, following his meeting with President Granger, said the OAS is looking forward to the new administration's effort in taking Guyana forward. The ambassador, who will be demitting office in a few weeks' time, said it was a pleasure meeting with the Guyanese head of state, as he said their meeting was fruitful. The two-term Assistant Secretary General will be demitting office on July 10th. He was elected to that position on June 7, 2005 and took office on July 19th. The Surinamese diplomat has had a distinguished career in public service at the national and international level, serving before his election to the OAS as Ambassador at Large and Special Advisor to the Government of the Republic of Suriname on Western Hemispheric Affairs. That's all in this week's diary for the period May 29 to June 5, 2015. But before we go, here's a recap of the highlights of the President's activities. Securing Guyana's territorial integrity, curbing maritime crimes are a priority for a new administration. Moral forces should be paramount in serving Guyana, President Granger tells 217 U.S. GDF soldiers. Joseph Harmon sworn in as Defense Board Secretary, and Deputy Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Ambassador Albert Ramdin, pays farewell visit to Guyanese head of state. Do join us again next week when we will keep you updated on the head of state's activities. I'm Janelle Carter. Do have a safe and productive week ahead. But in the interim, for more information, contact us via email at ginagovgy@gmail.com or visit our website at www.gina.gov.gy. Goodbye.